I know you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed? I think you can in Europe.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 3 of the Whelmed podcast. Before we keep going with the podcast, we'd like to acknowledge that this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. How are we feeling? Are we feeling overwhelmed, underwhelmed, perfectly whelmed? What's the vibe?
Well, I am 101% overwhelmed at the moment.
It keeps going up every week.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I didn't notice that, but soon we'll hit a breaking point and then I'll be whelmed. It'll be right. It's like when an egg cracks, you know?
Okay.
No, that's
Like
the
a
wrong
wave?
Like a
Yes,
wave.
Like a
wave's gonna
wave and
crash
it's going to
Yeah.
break.
and it's going to be
Yeah.
calm again.
Yes.
How about you, Belle?
I was actually telling Booby this beforehand, but I was feeling overwhelmed, but I've ticked everything off my to-do list for today, so
That's good.
I'm back down to whelmed.
Mhm.
If you'd asked me this morning, I might have cried at you, but right now I'm good.
That's good.
What about you?
Oh, I'm actually whelmed today.
Yeah?
This past week, I have been overwhelmed. I got hit with a cold last time we were recording.
Yes.
And if anyone can hear it in my voice, I've still got that cold. But it's been good. We've had experiments this week.
Yeah.
And it's nothing too stressful. So I'm feeling calm
That's
at
good.
this point.
The weather's quite underwhelming
Yeah.
today, if I'm honest.
Oh, God.
Yes.
No sun. No sun for the past week.
I know.
Anyway, today we'll be going into a deep discussion about all things outgrowing friendships and setting boundaries and our own personal growth and on making decisions of what still works for us and what doesn't anymore. So I know that when we get into uni, we all start doing different things. We're all doing different degrees. Back in high school, we all used to be doing like the same subjects and we were all in the same clubs and sort of on the same trajectory to get to graduation and then leave high school. But once you get to uni, everything's different. You start joining new clubs, finding new things that you're interested in. And obviously when that happens, things change. So yeah, do you guys think
Yeah,
that's-
like as you change as a person, obviously the way that you interact with other people is going to change. And so inevitably your relationships will change. But I think that's quite scary and quite sad sometimes when you don't want them to change.
I think that as much as it is about you changing as a person, a lot of it is also based on circumstance, because I know in high school some of the friendships that I still like love and treasure today only occurred because it was convenient. We were in the same
Yeah.
location, we were together every day, 9 to 5. That's incorrect, but I can't think of the times.
8:30 to 3:30.
Yeah, more like that.
But yeah, because you were basically forced into one place together, it's sink or swim. You
Yeah.
learn to bond and get together, and those same people now, like sure we've all changed and everything, but with uni, everyone's doing different things. We're all on different parts and it's so big, like geographically, like the campus is so big or there's so many people and it's so much harder to stay connected or even make friends or even like stay friends
Yeah.
with the same people.
I think that the biggest difference between university friendships or like adult friendships in general compared to friendships when you're a teenager and when you're a child and in school is the amount of effort that you have to put in to
That is
maintain
true.
those friendships. University friendships take so much more effort because if you wanted to, you don't have to be friends with anyone.
Yeah.
Like no one's forcing you to be friends. Whereas in school, I feel like there's like you said, it's very
Yeah.
much more routine. Like you're in the same classes and you're doing more structured activities that kind of push you to be friends with the other kids. Whereas now, my uni professor doesn't care if I've got friends,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, the closest you get is like group projects, and even that is just you make more enemies than you do
I don't
friends.
think that wins you friends. I think that breaks
I'm the
your
rare
friendships.
exception, it seems.
And it's also harder to maintain the friendships you already have. So there is now that slow friendship fizzle with a lot of my friends where we are outgrowing each other as people, but also the fact that we aren't very conveniently in the same place for a long period of time together
Do you feel that
does
there's
not help.
competition between the new friends that you're making and the friends you've already got? Not competition like physically between them, but just within yourself deciding who to divvy the time between?
I definitely feel that. A couple of my uni friends, like I see them when I'm like on placement or when I go to classes, but then I'm like, oh, I need to catch up with that other friend who I haven't seen in like 3 months because we've just been so busy.
Yeah.
But then like my uni friend like will message me and be like, oh yeah, do you want to go get dinner like the next week? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, like I want to see you, but I've also got to try and divvy up my time between everyone, and that can be really taxing because it's like I've got to keep track of all my friends. Like I don't want to have to make a to-do list just to like tick off all my friendship like meetups and stuff, but sometimes that's what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to prioritize who you're going to catch up with, basically.
It's really awful, especially if you have really distinct different friendship groups. Like I definitely feel this quite a bit knowing you guys and having you guys as friends and then having my college friends and then having my university friends. Like in my head, I've got all the different groups, but it's like, how do I split that up without neglecting one of them?
Yeah.
And also I get really mad FOMO. So I don't want to be missing out on anything.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think you've been through like any friendship breakups that you would classify as a friendship breakup?
Since moving to uni?
Yeah.
It isn't really friendship breakup essentially, but it's just some people who I thought would be more in my life. Slowly, like we've drifted apart because now I'm in uni, she's in uni, we're doing different things. A lot of the friendships I've lost aren't because of a breakup, but more of a fizzle out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
if
a
that
way,
makes sense.
in a way.
And that's really also
Yeah.
that's almost worse because you're like, oh, we're still really good friends except we don't see each other anymore.
Those friendships are the weirdest when you see them after like a year and you're still really good friends, but you haven't seen them in a year, so you're just friends with them about all the stuff you related to when you used to see them.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though. Anyway, have you had friendship breakups? Please tell me you've had like an awful fight where there was like throwing
Drama.
stuff.
No,
and...
I haven't had any friendship breakups, but I have had like the fizzle out, or like I'm kind of in a point in my life where I'm sort of seeing that, oh, the friends that I had when I was growing up, they've all changed now, and some of them just don't fit into my life anymore, and I love them, but it just doesn't work out because they'll be going over to do other things or going into state. So when you don't see them anymore, like it's hard to sort of maintain contact with them.
I do the seeing them in the contact for me is the biggest thing. Like we're all doing different things and have definitely grown differently since we became friends in high school, but we're all still close, and I do think it is because we see each other relatively often.
Like we make that effort to do that.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my mum the other day and she's like, it's so nice that you guys are still staying in contact, because like a lot of other people leaving high school, they're sort of close high school friendship groups, they change. I've got uni friends who say like they don't stay in touch with their high school friends at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like really lucky that we've got that as a whole group, that we can still reach out and talk to each other, and like there's nothing very, I guess, there's no big gap between us.
Shout out to 88.
Yes.
English
love them.
Ignite, Gununga High School.
Class of 2019.
You guys are amazing.
I think it's also interesting though, because at the same time, I'm sort of reconnecting with people that I haven't been in touch
That's
with.
nice.
Like, I went on a trip to Melbourne 2 months ago with one of my best friends from primary school, and she lives in Canberra. So I hadn't seen her for 3 years.
Wow.
So we'd be FaceTiming every couple of months or so. So I would have missed out on a lot of stuff that she'd been doing because she's moved out, switching uni degrees, working pretty much full time. She's part time, but she's pretty much working full time. So her life has changed so much from the point where we were when we used to see each other during primary school, and then even like in between during high school. She went to a different high school from us. And then just seeing her, it was really nice because she's one of those friends like where in our friendship nothing changes even though we change as people. Like I was spending that weekend with her and it was like, this is exactly like when we were 14, 15, like just fresh into high school. Like
Yeah, I
nothing
think
has changed.
I found the same where I'm trying to find more people, like connect with more people where we share the same values and not goals. Like they could be doing something completely different to me, have a completely different personality and stuff, but we still like click or get along really well because we share a lot of things that are similar, even though superficially we might not seem like we are alike at all.
I really, really, really like that phrase. I've never heard it before. Share values, not goals. I think
I just made it up on the spot, guys.
Good.
Well
That's
done.
good. You should use that in something more than this. Go sell it, trademark it, copyright.
I will. No, but literally that's explained so many of my friendships within the home group as well. Like, okay, let me bring this person up who I will not name, but we all know who it is. I'm really close to him, but we have nothing in common.
Yeah.
And I've accidentally told him this to his face. I was like, I don't know why we're friends. We have nothing in common. And he got like, I worded it really badly. So
Yeah, to
sorry,
be
this is
fair,
my
I think-
apology here on this podcast. But what I meant was that we share the same sense of humor. We care about the same sorts of things and we're passionate about the same thing. Like we match each other's enthusiasm, even though I don't care about any of the stuff he does and he doesn't care about any of the stuff I do. And we have different goals and all of that.
See, I think that phrase, the sharing values, not goals, is really important when you're growing as friends because it means that they will respect things that are important to you, like your boundaries and things like that. And
Yeah, that's really interesting.
as you change and grow, obviously what you want your boundaries to be are going to change and grow. And if you're looking for friends who have the same goals but not necessarily the same values, you're not going to get along with them in the long run because they're going to try to get to the same place as you but through a different route.
So on paper, even if it does seem like similar interests and two people would be really great friends, that's the sort of thing that would also make a friendship really boring. Like what else do you talk about if both of you are doing law? Not targeting this to anyone in particular. And then your whole friendship is based around like you guys have similar interests, of course, because you're both doing law and that's all you talk about. But if you don't have enough differences as well, like someone likes this and someone likes that and you can talk about that or bond over different things, then the friendship isn't really there.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of friends in my courses. No, not See, the thing is, I wouldn't call them friends. They're like friendly acquaintances where we can't talk about anything else except our degree because
I consider them class friends, degree friends.
that's true. Yeah. So it's good in a way if you find someone really different to you, then don't feel like you can't be friends with them, I guess, if you don't have much in common.
See, I have the other issue. Well, this is not an issue so much, but I find it really, really hard to say no, and I don't want to be impolite to people. And so I find myself, especially since coming to university, I worry that sometimes I get stuck in friendships with people who do have the same goals but not the same values because I don't want to be rude.
You
and
don't want to turn them down.
Yeah,
if
I
they
don't know how
invite
to
you out
turn
to
people
something.
down.
Yeah.
Not that I want to be turning people down,
Yeah.
obviously, but sometimes, I just really don't think that I benefit from their company, but I don't know how to say no.
Yeah, so then you've got to go around that hard decision of like setting an actual boundary for yourself, which is difficult because like you don't want to be rude to people, but at the same time, social interaction takes up energy, like whether you're introverted or extroverted.
I'm such an introvert. Like I need the time alone just to recharge.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't think that the first time I met you, I wouldn't have thought about that, but I'm weirdly an extrovert. Like I think I heard this somewhere, but if you consider introversion, extroversion as more like an energy exchange, so like extroverted people like really thrive off energy from social interaction, and people who are introverted like enjoy other people's company, but they also like, gain a lot of energy from being on their own. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting.
No, I like that way of putting it.
I like that. Are you introverted or extroverted?
I'm extroverted. I've done the personality test like 100 times and it says I'm extroverted. I'm like, I just want to, like, some days I just want to go and sit and read for like 5 hours and just be in my own company.
Yeah. It's all a scale. It all
they're very like outdated labels, I guess.
You can't either be extroverted or introverted.
But
it's just, some people bring out more of you and some people don't. Yeah. So
I also noticed that with some of my friendships. Like I have a friend who's like really energetic, and when I'm with her, I'm also really energetic. Like I could go a whole day just like being at that high energy level if I'm with her. But then like other times when I'm with friends who are, I guess their energy is more subdued, then I'll also kind of tone down my energy as well.
So you just match the energy of the person.
Yeah, I think I do that quite a bit.
Yeah, no.
That's so true.
Definitely. You're listening to the Whelm Podcast. Go and drink some water.
Hydration is sexy. So sometimes friendship breakups are even harder than relationship breakups. Not that I have any experience in either of those criteria.
No, I agree, actually.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't have experience either, but like I've been through instances where I wouldn't classify them as breakups, but I have drifted away from people. Currently also in the process of drifting away from people. But I think it's actually quite painful, especially if they're a close friend and you've known them for quite some time, but suddenly their values might change, or they go off and do something completely different, or you're just not in the same social circles anymore, or they literally move to another country or something. Then you lose touch with them, and someone who you constantly had in your life, like on the day-to-day, like you'd be able to tell them anything and everything. Suddenly it kind of feels like a wall is put up, and then you can't, I guess, communicate over that wall, either because of physical distance or because just the way you see things have changed. Like with me, I had a close friend and something happened where like our values changed, and how she dealt with the situation wasn't necessarily how I would have dealt with that situation. And it's not that I dislike her or I hate her or anything. I will always love her because she's a very close friend of mine. But I think the friendship has changed and it's dynamic as well.
And it's okay to let it happen.
Yeah.
Because I think the hardest part about the friendship breakup, which is probably why it makes it harder than a relationship breakup, because in a relationship breakup, you're broken up and it's expected that you no longer, well, it's not always expected, you know, sometimes you do it happily, but it is expected that you're no longer in a relationship, and so there is that separation. But with a friendship breakup, people still want to hold on. Yeah. Because you do have that history and those shared experiences and memories and things like that, which does make it so much more painful to then look in on yourself and say, hey, this is actually not good for me. Yeah. And it's not helping me, and it would be better for both of us if we separated a little bit.
And I found when I've come to uni that there's been a lot of, not guilt necessarily, but just maybe a bit of like shame or sadness with like if I lose touch with people, I'm not keeping in touch with them, and slowly that friendship drifts, that I say to myself, oh, I could have like done better, or like trying to keep a hold of that friendship when both of you are outgrowing that friendship. So I guess it's okay to let it go, and you're moving on to a different stage of your life. Like you're going to find new people. If you try and keep yourselves in the same friendships that you formed when you were in high school, you're not allowing yourselves to open up to all of those new friendships you can form in uni or wherever you might be, like the later stage of your life. So, yeah, I've been trying to change my thinking. Instead of being like, oh, I'm losing friends, I'm trying to change it to, oh, I'm opening myself up to new friendships.
Yeah, no. And I personally have been practicing or trying really, really hard to separate in my head. Like I can still have had all these wonderful experiences with a person and the sad, icky part of losing them or having a friendship breakup or even a relationship breakup, that icky part doesn't need to infect the nice stuff that happened beforehand. Like I want to be able to separate them in my brain and go, okay, we're different people now. It's no longer working. We're not going to hang out. But for the 6 months, a year, 10 years that we did hang out, it was super duper fun. And it doesn't need to cross over.
Yeah, like cherish what you had, don't regret what could have been. Yeah, that's so true. And I guess in some ways, like once you start learning about boundaries and saying like no and like working on people pleasing, I think is a tendency we all seem to have. You start obviously outgrowing people. Not outgrowing, it's just
the people pleasing thing has been a really big change in uni. I think. And
really, I find myself still people pleasing.
Oh no, I still am people pleasing. I think I'm just more aware of it, and especially now reaching the end of my degree and thinking about going into the workplace, I don't want to be someone who gets stepped all over because I'm too afraid to say, hey, no, sorry, I can't do this. Like that's not actually my job description, or like you're making me feel uncomfortable. But then also I'm absolutely terrified of saying that and then being completely socially isolated, whether it's in a friendship group or at work.
Yeah. I think there is a big fear with putting up firm boundaries that you become really isolated within those boundaries. Like I know loads of people at uni don't have friends. They don't have people in like they meet up with or hang out with in uni or study together. They might have friends outside of uni, but when they're in uni or at uni or in class and stuff, like there's no one to talk to. It's very isolating, all of that. And it's really hard to either put up boundaries if you do find someone or say no.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you genuinely care what people think about you?
I feel like when I was younger, I did a lot. But as I've grown older, it's something that's changed for me. Like at this point in time, like I don't really care. Like, I will go and do what I need to do and get on with my life. And yes, I do care about what people close to me think of me, like because their opinions like shape who I am, my parents, my family, my really close friends. But just the general public and just acquaintances who I meet, I don't see their opinions as shaping what I do in my life. And also at work, just at events, just when I'm out in the world, I feel like I've got my own bubble, and then there's the world. And yes, like I'll get like input from the world, but that's not gonna drastically change how I do things.
That is so impressive.
That is good. I don't know if that's emotionally healthy or not because I'm not a licensed psychologist, but it sounds pretty good.
I mean,
yeah, like, as someone who acknowledges that they crave external validation and bases a lot of their personality on whether or not they're liked by pretty much everyone.
Same.
I am really impressed by that.
Yeah.
Like, I still do, like, I get anxious about things and, like, I do worry, but it comes to a point, like, where I'm just like, you know what? 5 years down the track, am I going to care about this? Probably not.
I heard a quote the other day and it was, if it's not going to worry you in the next, I don't think it was 5 years, I think it was 5 days, but let's go with 5 years. It's not going to worry you in the next whatever period of time you'd like to insert. Don't spend the next 5 minutes worrying about it. Like, what's the point? We're on a floating rock in space.
Yeah.
The universe is infinite, guys. We're all going to be dead.
Yeah. I think logically and rationally, we all kind of know it doesn't matter what other people think of you, but like emotionally, like actually getting yourself to think and act that way is a whole different level.
It's been a process. Like, I will still go backwards, and there will be times when I'm like, oh my God, I just did that. Like, what is everyone going to think about me as a person? But I think it takes time and patience to get to that stage. It's a process. It comes and goes. But
yeah. That's so true. Hey, you've reached the midpoint of our episode. This is a reminder to drink some water, stay hydrated. Hydration is sexy. I know you don't have your water bottle near you, so go get it. Also, have a bit of a stretch, walk around, dance a little. Now, back to the episode. Yeah, I also obviously pretend to think that I don't care what people think of me. But it depends on the context, really. It's like I don't really care when I'm out and about, just me on my lonesome. But if I'm meeting new people, like first impression, I know you're meant to look behind the whole don't judge by a book by its cover and stuff. But first impressions do matter. And especially the industry I'm going into, business, it's all about charisma and like networking and who you know, not what you know, and all of that. So I kind of have to care about what other people think of me, and which isn't helping my own mental health. But in general, I do things I want to do, but I'm also very aware of what I can be seen of. But sometimes that doesn't stop me. Sometimes it does.
Yeah, I think it's okay to care what people think about you in terms of your character and like whether or not you're a good person, because obviously I want people to think of me that I'm a good person. But if it's limiting you and holding you, like the fear of people's judgment of just like the clothes you wear and the activities you do, if it's limiting you in that sense, then that's probably
So with uni as well, you might find that unlike high school, there isn't really like a popular group or like cool kids or whatever, but there is some sort of
there is still cool kids.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. There are people who just are cool. Like, they're just born that way. So
the people who dress cool at uni.
Yeah, the social rizz, that's what we want to talk about. Just being able to make friends easily, have the charisma when they walk into the room, just everything. I think a lot of it is also physical appearance that like plays a huge part. Social rizz. But if you don't have any social rizz, it's okay. There's still all of the rest of us here to make friends with.
Don't worry. We can relate to you.
Well, apparently my brother has tips on like improving social rizz. So maybe we should like...
Wait, what?
We should bring your brother onto the podcast.
I know. Well, like he's always like, when I'm dressing to go out, like he'll look at me and he'll be like, those shoes are not adding to your rizz. I'm like...
I feel like it's such a younger sibling thing.
It is.
Like my baby sister, she's 16, so I shouldn't call her baby anymore. She's taller than me, and she's literally the coolest person I know. And she knows everything about being cool as well. Like she's just got it all sorted.
It's a younger sibling thing.
I know.
Like my brother, he's 17. And then also my cousin, she's not my sibling, but like I consider her a sibling. She's like probably also like your sister. She knows everything about everything to do with being cool. Like, how?
Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
As the youngest.
Well, technically, I'm not the youngest.
Oh, right.
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you that. I was going to ask you your tips on being cool, but
I'm not cool.
It's the 4 minutes. The 4 minutes ruined it. We should bring your sister in here.
Yeah, look, and some people just, like I've noticed, just know how to interact with other people. I'm really awkward with talking with other people.
Calm confidence.
Yeah.
Loud confidence off-puts people, but calm confidence is like cool.
It sets, if you notice that in particular people who are just like so chill about just how they present themselves and it comes across and you're like, that person's pretty like, They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got social rizz.
Yes.
I hope that rizz stays in the vocabulary of society for at least
Yeah,
a little
quite
bit.
like it.
Maybe
Otherwise,
it'll get put in the dictionary.
yeah,
Who
this
knows?
podcast episode's going to
We'll have a definition. But yeah, like, how do you make new friends? Like, how would you go up to someone and talk to them? Do you be like, oh, isn't the weather dreadful lately?
I'm a compliment
Oh,
girl.
I do use that a
I
lot.
love a good, like, oh my God, I love your bracelets. Where did you get it
Where
from?
did you get
It's like
that?
Regina and Mean Girls. It's like, oh my God, this bracelet's so cute. Don't you think that's the ugliest bracelet you've ever seen? I'm not like that, I swear.
But yeah, I don't know. We need someone on here with the social rizz who can teach us these things.
Do we know anyone with social rizz?
Yeah, would you consider anyone we know has social rizz?
We'll have to get back to you.
Edit the pause.
Yeah.
Another talking point. Rizz with alcohol.
Alcohol.
The rizz that alcohol gives you. I feel like that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I wouldn't know because I don't drink, but do you feel
It
like
does,
when you do
yeah.
drink, like it changes how
It definitely, they say liquid courage, and it
Mm.
definitely does, it removes some of your inhibitions.
Mm.
So then you just, you do stuff
Mhm.
that you probably wouldn't do if you were thinking.
I think you just don't
Properly.
overthink things.
Yeah,
so
no,
you can go up to
that's
someone and be
literally
like,
what it
hey,
is.
I love your bracelet. Instead of like saying that in your head and just walking past them
Yeah.
without saying it to them.
What do they say? Drunk actions are sober thoughts. I think that's more when you do bad stuff when you're drunk. They're like, well, you would have thought it when you were sober, but.
But I guess it takes away those boundaries that you would normally have up when you think of approaching people.
No, it's drunk. I've revised it in my head and made another trademark phrase.
Oh, what is it?
Drunk actions are impulsive thoughts. Because sometimes they're not like just sober thoughts, but sometimes impulsive, and then you let it go when you're sober, but when you're drunk, you just do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, I think that's why there's so many social interactions at uni involving alcohol. Do you
Social
do you-
lubricant.
As someone who doesn't drink,
Mhm.
is that ever weird? Does it ever inhibit the friendship making because people are like, oh, let's go get a drink?
I don't think so. Like, I will still, like, when I go out to gigs and stuff with you, like, I will still get something to drink. It's
Yeah.
just not alcoholic.
Yeah.
Or I'll just get water. But I think it's interesting for me, like, seeing how people are different. People who I've known for ages when they are actually drinking. But I think if for anyone out there who doesn't drink, like, I think maybe it is a bit harder to, like, put yourself in that situation where everyone around you is drinking. But then again, I'm the kind of person who doesn't really care about, like,
No.
what I do or, like, how other people...
This is another thing that
Yeah.
so impresses me about you. The way that you put yourself in these social situations where I'm pretty sure everyone else or most of us are or like would be drinking, and you just interact like
Yeah, I probably get it from my mother. She
No.
was pretty badass in her day, and everyone was terrified of her.
The genes that handed it
Yeah.
down.
I think if I was in that situation, I'd feel a little bit hesitant.
You would feel
because-
overwhelmed.
I just want to know,
Yeah.
don't you get bored? Because sometimes I'm sitting there sober with drunk people and they find something hilarious and I'm like, I don't find it as funny because I'm not in that state, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I just get bored. I'm like, should I have a drink? Like, what? I'm not on the same level as everyone else who seem to find this night hilarious. But I do love interacting with drunk people. They are so
Yes.
much fun.
Remembering what drunk people have done when you're sober is very funny.
Yes. Well, my 20th was quite interesting. I think someone got really drunk that night. And
Yeah.
it was just interesting seeing them, like, I'd known this person since primary school. And it was really interesting. I was like, wow, I have never seen this side of you. Like, and that was my entertainment for the night.
Yeah, okay, you get entertained by drunk people. I see what it is.
This is an example of evolving friendships as we move into adulthood. Some people get really, really drunk and some people get to stay sober and watch their childhood best friend make a fool of themselves.
That's what the friendship needs.
Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to the Whelmed podcast. Stay whelmed.
So I actually have
a story now that I think about it.
Oh my God, spill all the tea, please.
Okay. So I'm not to be rude to this person or anything like that, but it's kind of one of the reasons why I'm so hesitant about making uni friends, just because like this is a thing that happened during uni.
Oh, not even during high school?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. So in first year, I met this person and they were like really lovely and like really very social and like energetic. And I was like, oh yeah, this person's really cool. Like I'd like to be friends with them, obviously. I met this person through a group assignment in first year, and then we became friends because we had the same classes and we'd see each other pretty often, like after all the COVID stuff had happened. And we had like a couple of mutual friends, like we had a friend group and all of that. And I don't know, the thing is, we never like got together outside of uni. So like we wouldn't like go out to brunch or dinner things, which is interesting. I think it was mostly because I was busy and everyone was busy with uni. The thing is, we got together at like uni events. So like when there was like the degrees ball and all of that, like we'd go together. And when we had like networking events and stuff and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was more of a friend of convenience than an actual friend. So this person was from interstate and they came to study in Adelaide and then moved back. I just feel like everything that happened in Adelaide was just of convenience. The entire friend group was a friendship of convenience. And I also feel like I lost touch with the other people in that group as well, I guess.
Yeah, they were just like uni friends, not
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes me really sad because I was like, obviously we were talking in our first episode, like we were all thinking of like going to uni, making friends with people and like having those really strong connections,
Yeah.
but that didn't happen. But the thing is, I felt really close to this person. But at the same time, I was also I felt very dwarfed by them because they had such a big presence and they were very like extroverted. And for some reason, I'm also extroverted. I don't know why. I am. That's what the personality test tells me. That's
what Google says.
But the thing is, like, compared to this person, like, I felt very small. And they were always, like, going, like, internationally to, like, do all these really cool events and stuff and, like, speaking at events and doing other extracurricular things. I started comparing myself to them, which I knew I shouldn't be doing. And I normally don't do that. But I think because they were my friend and like I wanted to support them and all of that, that kind of negatively impacted my own mental health. I didn't realize it until I left that friendship. But like I'm much better now mentally compared to how I was back then.
Would you label it a toxic friendship?
I feel like in some ways it was. And I feel like I lost myself as a person a bit when I was with that friend, who is not really a friend, more of an acquaintance now. We haven't actually spoken.
Your friendly acquaintance?
Yeah.
Do you think it was any, like, they, not doing it on purpose, but they understood what they were doing, kind of, or any malicious intent on their end?
I don't think there was any malicious intent. It was just, at the heart of it all, they didn't really care about all the interactions between everyone here. Like I felt close to this person and we'd go to events and stuff and we'd see each other in classes and everything. And I did get to know more about their personal life, families and like growing up and everything. And so the way it ended.
Oh yes, do tell.
So they had all like thought of catching up for brunch. We did have plans or like the intention to catch up for brunch and stuff outside of uni. That never happened in the entire 2 to 3 years that we like knew each other.
Wow.
Because they were always cancelling. Sometimes it was me cancelling, but also because uni being drained. But that never happened. So I feel like there was no like effort in the friendship either to maintain that. Because I feel like if like with my other friends, like I definitely want to meet them. Even if it's a month postponed or something, I will still make that effort. And I feel like I was putting in a lot of effort into this friendship and there was not much from the other end. And I didn't realize that until the friendship had ended. So in our little friend circle, we had organized to all catch up for brunch. And the morning of the brunch, they cancelled. And I was about to leave the house. So
that's very last minute.
very last minute cancelling, and said that they had a late night and they weren't feeling well and all of that. And so what I found out later was that this person had their birthday party the night before and we weren't invited.
Oh my gosh.
So like none of our uni friends, like our circle was invited. So it was all the other friends that they had who had gone to that party. I just felt like we're at least important to you. Like, don't make plans to go out for brunch the next day. Like, you don't have to invite us to your birthday party. That's completely fine. Like, if you want to have a birthday with a specific group of people, I really don't care. But it was kind of like I felt like I'd gotten to know that person at a certain deep level, and it was a bit, I wouldn't say insulting, but it was a bit like, oh, okay.
It is a bit insensitive.
Yeah, that's the better word to use.
Like, of course, yeah, it probably, like, they can invite whoever they want to their birthday.
That's
so
fine.
we're not blaming them for anything.
No.
But still, like, you're allowed to feel hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just feel like cancelling and not explaining why, but also like just
that behaviour pattern.
Yeah.
Because it is a pattern now.
It is a pattern. And just if you know that you're going to be having a late night, don't make plans the next day at like 10 o'clock in the morning to go out. It was a morning. Like, normally, if I know that I'm going out to like a 21st or something, then I know that the next day I'm not going to be getting up that early to do something.
Yeah.
And okay, the final thing was that before they were going to go back and leave Adelaide, they messaged like our mutual friend, like our friend group chat, and they were like, do you want to like get together one last time? And I was like, one last time?
What do you mean? You mean the first time?
Like, but also
the
like,
audacity.
I know, because they had met up with like a few of the other people in the group,
right,
on separate occasions, but just kind of cemented it for me that we were just friends of convenience. Like, they wouldn't really think too much about us, or like won't really think of maintaining that friendship after they'd left. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let this one fizzle out.
Wow.
Yeah,
I would hate that. Like, it's always a bit of a risk putting in a lot of effort into a friendship where you, like, the other person doesn't think it's that deep of a friendship, and then you end up getting hurt.
I think it was a lesson for me. Like, it helped me grow as a person. But yeah, I didn't realize it, but I was definitely comparing myself to this person, and it impacted my self-esteem in a lot of ways that I didn't realize I had gone through at that point.
Like subconsciously.
Yeah, and then
you're feeling like unvalued, unworthy.
Yeah.
Shattered self-esteem. Yeah. Poor self-worth. Just yeah.
But I'm in a much better headspace now.
That's good.
And I don't mean any ill regard to this person, like, and I don't mean to point fingers or like put the blame or anything, because I feel like part of it was also me like being too busy to go and meet up and stuff. But
no, I think it was just you had this person in your, like, you placed them in some importance in your life, and to them you had not that position in their life.
Yeah.
Do you think now you've got like walls up, you're a bit more guarded because of that experience, or have you just learnt from that lesson but hasn't stopped you from still like putting your all in friendships and stuff like that?
I think I have always been a very guarded person, so that did set me back a bit, but at the same time I was like, you know what, people are going to come and go from my life. Sometimes they're going to seem like they're really like worth my time, but at the end it might have been a waste of my time. But I think everything is a lesson to be learnt. I do feel like I am a bit hesitant in making like very strong friendships with people. So now I feel like, okay, like I see someone a couple of times, like, okay, they're like an acquaintance to me. But if something were to develop into a proper friendship, like I'd let it take its time. I feel like that friendship was also we were all very quick to jump into that group of friends, I think. Everyone was fresh out of high school before COVID. I think I was very naive back then. So yeah, I have learnt a lesson from it. And I guess that would be not to, undermine my self-worth.
Yeah.
And
there was nothing
yeah.
wrong in what you did. Like, you put in
No.
effort and they just weren't. I think it was just a disparity between what they thought of the friendship, like, oh, just uni-friendly
Yeah.
acquaintances, and what, like, you thought of it, which was
Yeah.
like, oh, they're my friends.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's also, like, horrible because, like, nothing ever, there's no real, like, breaking off or separation.
No.
It's just, like, it's kind of like, oh, I'm the only one left feeling hurt in the end because you're the only one who felt something about it. But you've taken it really well. You're like, oh, I learnt my lesson. I've grown past this, blah, blah, blah. I would have just sobbed and cried in my room and then never moved forth from that stage.
Well, my mum was like, Barbie, you're still talking about it. Stop talking about it.
Like 3 years later, you're like, guess what happened?
Yeah, no. I think it did feel like a very strong friendship to me because they started calling me like nicknames. Like I was just B to them. And I normally don't let people pick nicknames for me. Like if they call me nicknames, like my auntie calls me Beeves. And that's like a very personal nickname. I wouldn't let anyone else call me that apart from people in my family or people who are really close to me. But they started calling me B, and because I think I just really wanted to be friends with this person, and I don't think I realized how much that affected me until like much later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're past all of that now, and I have no like I don't feel
I'm not bitter at all.
No. I was very bitter at the time, but no.
And now it's something like you look at and it's kind of like, oh my God, my 18-year-old self went through that. Like it's become a part of, it's made me who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on socials and keep up to date with everything that's going on there. Stay whelmed, and we'll catch you next time.